always, Retro here. Today I'm going to do another episode of Vault of Retro. Now it's been a while since I've done one, so I'll explain briefly what it is. Basically it's a series where I'll look back at some of the artwork or creative things I've done as a kid or a teenager or whenever. Whether it be a drawing, a comic book, I even showed some games I programmed back in the day. I even found some music recently that I made. I'm like, oh, it'd be nice to share, but it's not really ASMR type music, you know what I mean? Anyways, we look back at that stuff, and I'm not saying it's amazing artwork or whatever. Some of it's garbage, some of it's okay, but it's still fun to take a look back and see where my mind was back then. And to be honest, not much has changed. But anyways, I believe this is episode 7 of Vault of Retro, so let's see what we got. This episode will feature wrestling related stuff, so your wrestling fans out there might enjoy this one. Okay, so this first picture I drew, as you can see, is of the Undertaker. And there is Mankind with his mask off. You see Undertaker holding the mask here. And you see at the top it says the Undertaker, the Undertaker, Revenge of the Taker. And that was actually a pay-per-view, I believe that's what it was called. I remember seeing it live on pay-per-view, and so I must have drawn this quite shortly after that. So I guess I would date this 97, 98. I don't remember exactly when that show was. And so yeah, you see Undertaker here, this goatee. He has like this double eyebrow thing they did with makeup. Got his shirt there, his pants, his arms, and he's holding up Mick Foley's mask with all fire flames. Whoops, I moved it a bit, sorry. Got the flames coming out. Now I took some liberties with this picture because he didn't actually set his mask on fire, at least not from what I remember. But we'll get into that in a second. There's Mick Foley with his amazing physique and his hair. And you have the ring. What's interesting about this picture is it's kind of like it wasn't like a what do you call it? Can't think of the word, but like the camera, so to speak, was like kind of above the ring, pointing down, which was an unusual way for me to draw pictures. Like, you shouldn't think that hard or try that hard, but as you can see, but yeah, interesting angle. That's the word I was looking for, I guess. And here on the floor, I guess this is supposed to be like the lighter that he used to, and like the cloth that he used to start the fire. Now another interesting thing is you can see Paul Bearer. I drew Paul Bearer's body here. You can see his stomach. I'm not sure how well this comes off on camera. You can see his legs there. You can still see his face. I didn't even try to erase his face there. And he's like pointing, he's going like this. But then I guess I didn't like it, so I erased it. But I forgot to erase his head. Actually, you know what? The way it is now kind of looks like he's outside the ring. So that's interesting. Maybe that's why I left his head there, because it's like, oh, he's outside the ring, like poking his head kind of thing. But yeah, I remember this pay-per-view was a major botch. So I think the story was they burned Taker before at a previous event or whatever. And then, anyways, at this event, this is when Paul Bearer and Mankind were together. And then at the end of the match, something weird was supposed to happen, I think. Mankind was supposed to Paul Bearer. Yeah, I think Mankind was accidentally supposed to burn Paul Bearer because he was like walking towards Taker with the lighting apparatus, and Undertaker moves or kind of shoves him into Paul Bearer, but then like nothing happens because he couldn't get the thing to work. It's just very awkward. And then they tried doing the same exact thing again. It didn't work. So Undertaker's like, screw this. So he takes the lighter and all that stuff, and he kicks or whatever. He puts Paul Bearer in the corner, and then he lights his face himself. But even he struggled with it. So, anyways, that's my artistic interpretation of the whole event. And you see the WWF logo there too. So there we go. There's the first picture. So you get an idea of what you're in for. Okay, this one is similar, but this one was actually done by my brother. So it's Fault of Rich Bro, I guess. I don't know, bro. It's a similar picture where you see the Undertaker, and you see Paul Bearer there, labeled, thankfully. And yeah, you see Undertaker has choking Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer's wagging his finger, wag, 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 wag. But yeah, you see Taker there is very curly hair in this one. Different style Taker, I guess. He did have curly hair at one point, but I don't think he had it at this point. You see his arms look like they're chiseled out of stone. And then you see Paul Bearer with his very thin arms, because, he's known for his thin arms. This picture is weird because it doesn't really look like my brother's drawing style. But yeah, there you go. He's pretty, he used to draw pretty funny. Like, I sucked at drawing and I still do, but not much better. But he could always, like, not that he was an amazing artist, but like, he could draw things pretty funny. Funny to me anyways, I don't know. But yeah, there's that picture. But the real funny thing about this is on the backside, and the laugh about this is, you can see his original attempt. And there's Paul Bearer. I'm trying not to laugh while I'm saying this, but you see Paul Bearer there. It's like double chin. But then he drew Taker. His face looks like a jelly bean. And it's like so tiny. So obviously he was like, screw this, what the hell am I doing? So he started all over again. He's like, I'm gonna try harder and make it way more detailed. But anyway, those things, the kind of things make me laugh for some reason. Okay, so I remember, I believe it was before I started my ASMR channel. I wanted to make a channel about wrestling, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just, like, I was worried about, copyright and stuff like that, so I was like, oh, what if I just draw the wrestlers when I'm talking about them? So these were just some, like, concepts of different ways of drawing wrestlers. So this is John Cena, obviously. This one here is like a very cartoony representation there. This one's more of a stickman type of thing, which I kind of like this one. That's kind of cool. There he just looks like a strawberry head. That looks like a pretty cool looking, cartoony, but like, I don't know, exaggerated feature, version of John Cena. That I gave up on that one, obviously. This is a very simplistic version of John Cena. Doesn't really look like him, I guess. I mean, could look like any number of wrestlers. And then there's a few other attempts there, so obviously I never made that channel, but I do kind of do something like that, like when I do those Royal Rumble animations. It's kind of like the same concept where just showing their heads, keeping it nice and simple. You know what I mean? Okay, now we got some more wrestler heads. We have Mark Henry, the big exaggerated cheeks. We have Undertaker. I think I like this one better, but neither of them are that great. That looks more like Lord of the Rings character. I forget his name now, but pretty much all of them. This looks like it was an early Triple H, or unfinished Triple H. I think I ran out of ink when I was drawing his nose. No, I'm kidding. For some reason I scratched it out. I don't know. And then I have several interpretations of Randy Orton. The basic Orton there. Another meaner looking Orton. Super exaggerated cheekbone Orton. And I don't know, just a generic skull looking Orton. And yet another Orton with a elongated chin. So I don't really think I perfected Orton in this one, but that one's not too bad. But his chin's a little extra, you know what I mean? And then we have Wade Barrett. So it kind of shows you, like, these looks like they were done at, nah, maybe not, I don't know. But anyways, gives you an idea of when I did this. Because Wade Barrett was still wrestling at the time. Not a bad Wade Barrett, pretty good. Then we have Edge, which is terrifying. That is a terrifying Edge. I thought he was supposed to be Heath Slater at first, but no, that is Edge. I guess, I don't know what that was supposed to be. Also looks like Edge. I guess I didn't like it. Looks like let's move on. Hope you can see that all. There's Heath Slater. What they used to call him, Wendy's or something like that. Human jar of Wendy's. No, it's a human jar of mayonnaise. Sheamus. It's like each one has a different like art style, but anyways, that's a decent Sheamus. Then we have Zack Ryder. Remember him? Woo woo woo. That's a pretty good Zack Ryder, I think. Yeah, so that's Hornswoggle. I like the Hornswoggle I did, and the teeth. How they're like kind of like Simpsons teeth. Like that came out good. That was the original, I guess, Hornswoggle I tried to do, but I didn't like it. It's looking more like Santino there. Then there's Dolph Ziggler. I really like this one too, with the exaggerated chin and stuff like that, and the expression on his, the cocky expression on his eyebrows and stuff like that. Pretty good. Probably one of my favorites. Anyways, that and Hornswoggle. Jack Swagger came out pretty good too. Remember him? And then we have Booker T. I did two versions. I guess I preferred this one. And here's Christian. That is Christian. And that is Daniel Bryan. With a shaved head and a beard. I don't even know what he looks like now. But this was when he was I think a heel. This is when he was a champion and he had the I don't know, it's supposed to be like a hemp belt or something like that. It's supposed to be like a green, I don't know, I can't even explain it, but. And then there's Drew McIntyre. I was alright, I could have done a better McIntyre, but this I guess would have been before he came back, because he has no facial hair. He looked different. And then we have Ezekiel Jackson, which I totally forgot about. What happened to him? He looks pretty cool. Then we have Unico. There he is there. Pretty good Unico, I guess. I was just trying everybody and anybody. Okay, now switching gears a little bit, but not too much. So I told you I used to make video games for fun as a hobby. I had no idea what I was doing. But I made a wrestling game. I showed it on the channel before. Now these are some design, quote unquote, design documents. I'm using that term very loosely. Of that game and other future games I was thinking of. So for example, this was definitely, because I was using like a really basic, but not basic programming language. It's not the programming language basic, but it was, but anyways. So I wouldn't let me do graphics anywhere near like this. So this was obviously for an upcoming game that I was playing on some other language. But anyways, we have Stone Cold here. In a very weird pose. It's like for the benefit of those with flash photography, that kind of thing. But anyways, and I was drawing them all in the same pose because I'm like, I would reuse. The plan was to reuse assets. But anyway, there's Rock, the sideburns. Looks like there's an ear growing out of your shoulder. But anyways, and then there was Gangrel. Because when you think of Stone Cold, you think of The Rock, and immediately Gangrel comes to your mind. So, it's like the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. The Holy Trinity of wrestling, I guess. I don't know. Or with Gangrel, the Unholy Trinity. But anyways, yeah, Gangrel. Okay, there you go. And then here, if you look closely, this looks like one time I made a Castlevania game. I didn't get very far in the game, making the game. I don't think I showed it on the channel. I might have, I might not have. I remember having issues running it. But anyway, there was a Simon Belmont character I was designing, and you could see, which he looked nothing like that in the actual game I made. And there's a little screenshot there of like the opening screen or something. I don't know, bro. So that's that. So it's not all wrestling related, but mostly. Alright, back to wrestling now. Okay, going forward, things are going to get messier and messier in this video, and the spelling is going to get worse and worse and worse. So, just a warning. So I guess this was like a selection screen of all the wrestlers I wanted to put in that game. I started working on a second wrestling game. I did finish that one. And I was putting Mankind in it, but I never got too far in that. I believe I showed that on that video as well. There's Farouk, Nation of Domination. Rocky Maivia, which gives you an idea of how old this document is, this founding document. There's D'Lo, Kama, Mark Henry. Then we have Interrogator. He was also named Kurgan, I think. Became Kurgan, I think, after Interrogator. He had like the biggest, what do you call them, muscles like beside your neck, connecting your shoulder. He had the biggest one of those muscles I've ever seen, which is very odd. But anyways, Flash Funk. Then we have Kane, which I always used to spell his name wrong. I don't know why. Jesse James. Looks like he's wearing a South Park t-shirt with Cartman. I don't know. Was that a thing he used to do? Billy Gunn. Cactus Jack. Chainsaw Charlie. I put a check mark next to his name as if I implemented him, but I did not. Hawk, Animal, Brian Christopher. Oh yeah, there's a lot of check marks. I don't know what they mean. Brian Christopher. Jeff Jarrett. Mosh. Thrasher. Godwin and Godwin. I don't even know what their names are. Just like Godwin. Bubba Godwin. I don't know, bro. And I don't usually do this, but let's see how many people are no longer with us here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm counting 6. There may be more. I don't know, bro. Regardless, it said 1 is too many. Alright. And then we have sort of a design of how a lot of the wrestlers share the same features. So it can reuse code. Again, lots of limitations here, but so you have Stone Cold, Shawn, Helmsley, Kane, and Undertaker. So you can see they have the same torso. Shawn and Stone Cold did. Helmsley had a different torso, but I ended up just using the same one. They have the same legs, except for color could change or whatever. Let's see, because they had pants and Stone Cold did not have pants. And then we have Kane and Undertaker, which had very similar bodies, basically just different heads and stuff like that. So there you go. Okay, now is when it really gets sloppy. It's gonna get sloppier and sloppier, and badder spelling. Yeah, so I guess I was documenting some of the moves and stuff like that. So there you have Undertaker. And then his finisher, the Tombstone Piledriver, of course. The legs don't usually go like that in the Tombstone, but anyways, they do sometimes. And I have a position here for like manager. So if the wrestler had a manager, they would show here. So we have Stone Cold Steve Austin with an E at the end for some reason. Finisher Stone Cold Stunner. And it was important to design this because I had to like issue commands to draw like the square, for example. To be like draw a square and then put the coordinates, whatever. But you couldn't really do diagonal stuff very well, very efficiently. So it all had to be like 90-degree angles, essentially. Like I did some tricks to get around that, but so I had to make sure everything I drew was like, 90-degree angles and stuff like that. Anyway, no manager for Stone Cold. We have Hunter Hearst Helmsley. There he is. And his finisher was the pedigree. And I call that protection, not a manager. China. That's the most deformed looking China I've ever seen. And then Bret Hitman Hart, which I was gonna put in there, but for obvious reasons, since I didn't. His finisher was the sharpshooter, obviously. It's not really an easy way to depict that with this programming language, but there it is. And he has no manager. There's something on the back here too. Okay, yeah. This is where it gets crazy, like really crazy. Okay. So we have Shawn Michaels. Finisher is the super kick. And his protection is Rick Rude. This was back in the Rick Rude days of DX, the early days. And then we have Ahmed Johnson. He's looking pretty flabby there. That's what he looked more like in or WCW. With his finisher, the Pearl River Plunge. No manager. Then we have Goldust, but it looks like I was about to rate Gold Star. I don't know. Stardust, maybe. I don't know. Now it's Goldust, and of course he does a curtain call. That would have been an easy move to program. And of course his wife, Marlena, whatever, bro. I don't know. And then we have. Okay, this is the crazy part. Let me move this a little bit so you can see better. Okay. So this is special special characters, I don't know, Clinton, as in Bill Clinton, only in special country match versus Jean Chrétien, which was the Canadian Prime Minister. So, remember I was a kid when I did this, so, Clinton's finisher in this match would be the H-bomb. So he pulls out like a suitcase or whatever, he pushes a button, and then a nuke lands on the Canadian Prime Minister. That would have been easy to program too, I think, and fun. And then, of course, Jean Chrétien was a special character against Clinton, and his finisher was the Canadian choke slam, which requires some explanation. There's footage of him, I don't know, it was like some public event or something, and there's a crowd of people around him, and one guy started getting up in his face, and he just like chokes him or whatever, so I'm like, that'd be funny if he did the Canadian choke slam as his finisher. And then I have extras here. I have Vince McMahon. Wow, I was able to write so neatly, so small. I usually never write that neat. But anyway, Jerry the King Lawler there. You see they got their microphone. Jim Ross, he's got the microphone. And Sunny. I don't know how she fits into that, but there she is. Special matches. Flag match. Casket match. Boiler room match. Remember all. Ladder match. And the country match I was talking about. Damn. There's no limit to my creativity. Okay, a few more here. We got, I guess, just a few moves here. A punch, a grapple, body slam, nut buster. I don't think that's what it's called. Isn't it called no, not a backbreaker. Backbreaker? No, I don't know, bro. I can't think right now. Suplex, yeah, I guess. Standing suplex, what do they call that? Grapple moves. Okay, so I guess these are moves, well, not this, but that you could do from a grappler. So I was going to implement a grappling system, but I never really did. Trademark star moves. So we have the choke slam, flying clothesline. Oh, yeah, these are Undertaker's moves, it looks like. That looks odd, but it's supposed to be the, I call it off the post attack, but now we would call it old school, which I know is not off the post, but again, can't really depict that in the game very easily, so I just did off the post flying clothesline attack, whatever it's called. And then there's a tombstone, and then what's this? Running attack clothesline. So then it seems that I was thinking of making a WCW wrestling game, because you could see the roster here. Hollywood Hogan, Macho Man, Randy Savage, Sting, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Lex Luger, The Giant, DDP, and Bret Hart. Although wasn't The Giant gone by the time Bret Hart was there? I don't know, bro. Maybe I give up on roster accuracy, I don't know. And then this is just another list of characters I was gonna make, I guess. I don't know why I did the same thing over and over again. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Kane, Undertaker, Rocky Maivia, Ken Shamrock, Owen Hart, and Farouk. And then I probably got tired and that's it. And then I drew some guy over here and I scribbled it out. Alright. And then it's just a mishmash of this, more like doodling, I guess, but yet another pile driver, yet another stunner. Looks like a decapitated head or something, I don't know, bro. I guess Shawn Michaels doing a super kick. Remember when he was like the only one who did it, or one of the very, very, very few, or at least one of the only ones, or the only one in WWF that would do it at the time. But he was like, oh, blood. And then looks like Undertaker jumping off the rope and giving a guy a clothesline. I don't know, bro. That one's a bit rough. And that one looks like my my brother drew that. I don't know what he was depicting there, but you know, sometimes I just don't ask. Anything on the back? Nope. Okay, one more. And yeah, some basic design work for the WCW game that I never made. There's obviously Hogan and there's obviously Sting, and they'd have the same body, the same legs essentially. Oh, actually, well, you'd be wearing a shirt. That usually wears a shirt, I think, right? But anyways, and then there's the Giant. And then there's some like random codes. I wonder if these are like Game Genie codes or something. I don't know, bro. But yeah, there you go. There's another